Alright everyone, and welcome to 9to5 Weekly, where we cover a bunch of Apple news that happened in that subsequent week. And today we're going to be talking about the Apple Watch ban, which is actually a very big deal when it comes to Apple Watch sales and what you need to know for your personal Apple Watch. Also, we're going to be talking about Apple CarPlay because we finally got some announcements on where it's going and which cars are going to be adopting it first. And then we're also going to be talking about the new APY on the Apple Savings account and, sadly, an Apple Store closing, which has been around since 1993. Without further ado, I'm Fernando. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off with the biggest news of the week, which is the Apple Watch ban. So you might have seen in the news that the ITC is forcing Apple to take the Apple Watch Ultra 2 as well as the Apple Watch Series 9 off of their shelves. And the reason this is happening is because there's a company by the name of Masimo which has a pulse oximeter, which Apple kind of used that patent that they use for their technology in our blood oxygen reader in the Apple Watch Ultra as well as the Apple Watch Series 9. Now this blood oxygen reading technology on the Apple Watch does date back to the Apple Watch Series 6, so we'll touch on exactly what that means for owners that own from Apple Watch Series 6 all the way to the brand new Apple Watch Series 9 and the Ultras. So you might have noticed that if you try to buy an Apple Watch online right now at the Apple Store, you cannot actually purchase them at all because they've been forcefully taken off the shelves. There are some third parties like Amazon and Best Buy, and if you do find them out in the wild outside of an Apple Store, they're pretty much still selling them until their stock runs out. But Apple is not allowed to restock those shelves of those third party retailers like Best Buy and Amazon. So if you look on Amazon right now, you might be lucky and still be able to pick one up. And we've also seen some people try to price gouge on the other side because, obviously everybody tries to make money at the end of the day with these news outlets and try to sell their Apple Watch Ultra for thousands of dollars now, even though it's clearly not worth that amount of money. So some important dates on this ban to consider is December 24th is the last day that Apple retail stores will be able to actually sell them at the retail store. So if you do want to order them online, unfortunately you cannot from Apple, but if you're lucky enough to still find one in stock at an Apple store, Apple can sell it to you until December 24th. And then December 25th is the last day that President Biden can actually veto the ITC ban. And if Biden does not veto the ban, then this ITC ban will go through, leading to December 26th, which Apple can then file an appeal of the ITC on the final decision. And this is going to go on for a while, but at the end of the day, I do believe Apple's going to figure out a workaround to make sure that these Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra get back on the shelves because it's one of Apple's best-selling products of all time, and the Apple Watch is the best-selling watch of all time now at this point, especially from a volume standpoint. So Apple's going to do everything they can. They could probably turn it off via a software update and kind of get rid of the blood oxygen level, but a lot of people like that O2 oxygen level reader on their Apple Watch. So Apple's going to have to play some gymnastics here and figure out what they want to do moving forward, and we'll probably see them back early next year. But for now, you cannot actually buy them from an Apple Store. So the only watch that Apple currently sells on the Apple Store, if you see, is the Apple Watch SE, and that's because it does not have a blood oxygen reader. And now I did mention that this does date back all the way to the Series 6, so what this means from a repairability standpoint directly from Apple is if you have an Apple Watch, one of these Apple Watches that has a blood oxygen reader, and you're within warranty, then everything's going to be totally fine. Apple will honor that warranty. But if you do have an Apple Watch that's outside of that warranty, then Apple unfortunately cannot do anything to help you when it comes to a physical repair. So if you have a cracked screen and you want to pay Apple to replace it, Apple is unable to replace that for you. You're going to have to go to a third party to get that done, and we'll see what ends up happening moving forward. But from a repairability standpoint, if you're out of warranty, unfortunately, you're in trouble. But that's everything you need to know about the Apple Watch ban. If you have an Apple Watch with a blood oxygen reader right now, it's still going to be business as usual. It's still going to work as normal. Nothing's going to change. The reader is still going to work, and you will not have wasted your money. But just take care of it. Make sure you don't crack that screen or anything like that. And now let's move on to the next topic. Next up, let's talk Apple CarPlay and that new second generation of CarPlay that Apple actually announced back at WWDC in 2022. Apple announced the new CarPlay that's going to be able to take over all the different screens on the actual car itself, and not just the actual infotainment system in the middle, but also even where your instrument cluster is and things of that nature, maybe even extend all the way to the passenger side if you have a car or manufactured car that has that screen in front of the passenger seat. But we got some news according to Car and Driver that Porsche and Aston Martin will be the first ones to finally adopt this new generation of Apple CarPlay. So unfortunately for us normal folk, we're going to have to wait a little while to actually be able to use it. But if you're lucky enough to be looking out to pick up a brand new 2024 Aston Martin or brand new 2024 Porsche, then you're in luck because it will have that next generation Apple CarPlay and you'll be able to kind of take advantage of it and play with it and be the first ones to actually have hands-on with it. But there's still some information missing in terms of what cars are going to be getting them specifically. Like we know what brand is going to get it, but which Porsche models will be getting the new Apple CarPlay, which Aston Martin models will be getting that CarPlay, we still don't know. We don't have that information, as well as when they're going to be releasing it. Aston Martin says that in 2024 they'll debut it, and we don't know when in 2024. And then also, we're not 100% sure if it will be compatible with older models because a 2023 Porsche still has all the displays needed to get that second generation CarPlay, but maybe Aston Martin and Porsche will keep it just for the 2024 models and newer. Now there is a list of manufacturers that should be adopting Apple CarPlay also at some point in 2024, and 2025, and I'll leave that list right here because it's a pretty big list, and hopefully it'll trickle down to a more affordable car manufacturer that more people can take advantage of this new CarPlay because it does look very cool in all the renders and mockups that Apple showed off in 2022. So those are the two big news stories this week, with the Apple Watch band being kind of the big deal because, again, I've never seen a situation where Apple's been forced to take products off the shelf, and I don't know how Apple's going to respond moving forward. But as I said, I do believe the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Apple Watch Series 9 will be on the shelves again in January. It's just a matter of when and what Apple's going to have to give up in order to do that. But to finish up the news that happened this week, the Apple's APY, so the high yield savings account, increased from 4.15 to 4.25% on an APY, which is great to see. And Apple, I think, did this because they are seeing other banks go to 4.5 or 4.6. Like I use a bank called SoFi that gives me 4.6 APY in my savings account, which does add up over time depending on how much money is in your savings account. But if you're an Apple Card user and you want to use the Apple savings account and you just want to stay in the Apple ecosystem, at the end of the day, it is just quote unquote free money. As long as you have money in the savings account and you can have your daily cash back go directly into that savings account, it's definitely a win-win. So increasing it from 4.15 to 4.25 is a nice little touch that Apple kind of gave us at the end of the year as a, maybe a little holiday gift for everybody to take advantage of to then ideally spend more money at Apple. And leave a comment down below if you guys are keeping money in the Apple savings account. I know that only Apple Card users are able to use the Apple savings account, but I'm curious to know how many people are actually using that as maybe a main savings account or a main APY, high yield savings account, because like I said, I have a little bit of money in there, but most of my savings money is in SoFi because of the 4.6. I'd rather take that over the 4.25. But I also see the ease of use and how implemented and how easy it is to integrate into that savings account on the Apple side. And then lastly, Apple will be closing its stores in their Infinite Loop Apple Store on January 20th of 2024. This store has been around since March of 1993, which means it's a little bit older than even I am at this point. The reason why they're closing it, we're not really sure. It's probably because Apple moved their campuses and they're no longer at that Infinite Loop. They were there from 1997 to 2017, and now they moved to their big Apple campus, their spaceship. And some of the nice things about this Apple Store and why it was so iconic, it was one of the first ones ever opened in 1993, and also they're one of the few, if only, Apple stores that sells Apple memorabilia like t-shirts and mugs and little plushie toys and things like that, whereas every other Apple store, I've never seen any of that anywhere else. So it'll be sad to see that one go. All the employees will still have the ability to keep their jobs and stay within Apple in their organization if they so please, but that Apple Store will be closing January 20th of 2024. And that will round off all the news from this week on the 9to5 Weekly Update. If you guys enjoyed videos like this, definitely leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know that you made it to the end. Leave a comment down below of what you think, especially about the Apple Watch, man. I'm very curious to know how Apple customers and Apple Watch users are being affected, and how that affects maybe even your psyche or your confidence in Apple moving forward, if at all. Let me know in the comment down below. Always curious to know. But if you guys enjoyed this weekly update, let me know in the comment down below. We'll continue to do these in 2024 moving forward. Me and Jeff will either alternate or do them together. It'll be a fun time. But that's going to do it for this video. But if you guys want to watch some more iPadOS, iOS, or macOS updates, click on one of these videos right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando. Happy holidays. Enjoy with your family. Until next time, peace.